Remembering the victims, it's been 1 year since the deadly bridge collapse at FIU. We'll show you the tributes to those who were killed and bring you new information about what went wrong.
Hung jury. The jury coming back with only a partial verdict in the trial of a North Miami police officer, where the case goes from here.
Plus a deadly attack in one of the world's safest places. We'll tell you how South Florida's Muslim community is responding to the shootings at mosques in New Zealand.
Live, the news on NBC 6 at 6 starts now.
Hung jury. The announcement coming late this afternoon. The jury unable to reach a verdict on 3 of the 4 charges against a North Miami police officer. Good evening once again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Juwan Strader.
And I'm Trina Robinson. Jurors coming back with only a not guilty decision on one of the lesser charges against Jonathan Alater. NBC 6 reporter Amanda Placencia is at the courthouse. Amanda, what happens now?
Well, Trina, the state attorney's office will regroup to decide what is the next best course of action after a jury could not reach a verdict on 3 of the 4 charges that North Miami officer Jonathan Alater faced. Now let's listen into the clerk as they read that verdict in the courtroom.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jonathan Matthew Alater, count 4, not guilty.
Now, after jurors reached their decision, Alater did not speak to reporters as he left the courtroom with his wife. But throughout the trial, which began last Thursday, North Miami officer Alater got emotional as he took the stand in his own defense, describing what he encountered from his viewpoint before pulling the trigger on July 18th of 2016. But prosecutors argued repeatedly to jurors that other officers on the scene testified that they did not feel the need to shoot and were ready to approach behavioral therapist Charles Kinsey and his autistic patient Arnaldo Rios Soto in the intersection. Kinsey himself was also called to the stand, detailing the moments where cell phone video showed him on the ground with his arms up, telling police over and over that Rios was holding a toy truck. Alater's defense holding to the claim that North Miami's police radios were a mess with issues in the past. Now, Alater testified that he never heard any radio transmissions, that the silver object was a toy and not a gun. Now, prosecutors, the defense, and even Arnaldo Rios' sister spoke briefly outside the courtroom after the jury reached their decision.
We're going to be discussing this with the state attorney. We've got a report date about a week and a half, and we'll have a decision at that time, report what action will be taken.
We're disappointed with the overall verdict, but anytime he's acquitted of the only count, they reached a unanimous verdict on, and they were 5-1 for acquittal on the other 3. I think he's disappointed. He was hoping to be acquitted. You know, go home to his wife and baby.
I hope this sends awareness, autism awareness, and also awareness for people with disabilities in regards to more representation for their rights, in regards to daily living and incorporation in the community.
Now, the state attorney's office has said that this case has traumatized the community, and they also said, quote, that the difficulties posed by this case were clearly represented by the jury's inability to come to a verdict. There will be another hearing at the end of the month to decide what are the next steps in this case. Live from the Metro Justice Building, Amanda Placencia, NBC 6 News.
6 bells for 6 lives lost. On campus and at the scene of a tragedy, a community gathering this afternoon to remember those killed 1 year ago by a bridge collapse at FIU.
2 ceremonies happening this afternoon at 1:47 p.m. the moment that pedestrian bridge came tumbling down. NBC 6 reporter Marissa Bagg is live in Southwest Miami-Dade with today's tributes. Marissa.
Trina and Juwan, one of those ceremonies took place right in the center of campus. The other one that was organized by the victims' families happened here along 8th Street. And the only thing that is still standing out here are the stairs that you can see that were built up to the pedestrian bridge. They remain under construction even today.
Let it go, the balloon. Let it go.
1 year to the moment they lost their youngest daughter, Alexa Duran's parents released balloons to honor her passing. The FIU student is one of 6 people killed when the pedestrian bridge over Southwest 8th Street collapsed.
This is when my daughter passed. This is when my daughter was killed. She was waiting at the light like everybody else, and she was killed.
Brandon Brownfield's family also came to the spot where he died. 1:47 p.m. marked a somber milestone they had to witness.
This is where my son's life ended, and we just needed to be here to just recognize that.
Near the center of campus, the FIU community held hands and bowed their heads for a moment of silence.
We humbly ask that you watch over those that we have lost.
Dozens of the first responders who rushed to the scene the day of the collapse stood together in solidarity today with those killed.
And it was an unfortunate day also for this great university. So here to give a moment of silence on the one-year anniversary of that tragedy. But hopefully something like this will never happen again in our community.
The way that we might have to do changes into the future and maybe tighten laws and do certain things for this not to happen ever again.
And many of the families we spoke with today are in ongoing legal battles with the designer and builder of the bridge as well as the university. But they say today they wanted the focus to be on their loved ones. Reporting live in Southwest Miami-Dade, Marissa Bagg, NBC 6 News.
And Marissa, when the FIU bridge collapsed 1 year ago, most everyone out there wanted to know why. Now we still don't know officially, but as we've been reporting since NBC 6 News at 4 o'clock, there are plenty of factors involved.
That is right. And tonight, for the first time, NBC 6 investigator Tony Pipitone reveals another problem with the bridge's move that happened just 5 days before that collapse.
There were concerns about design, concerns about cracks that formed, and a change made in how the bridge was to be moved. And now we're revealing previously unreported problems with the move. There was celebration on March 10th, 2018, when the move of the FIU pedestrian bridge appeared to be completed without a hitch. 5 days later, the move and everything before and after came under scrutiny. Now, despite an NTSB-ordered blackout on all documents created after mid-February last year, we found this May 2018 insurance investigation report that casts doubt on just how smoothly that move may have gone. First, we learned the move had to be stopped 10 to 15 times because the bridge was twisting more than engineers wanted it to. That's according to an engineer with Bridge Diagnostics Incorporated, one of 25 companies being sued over its role in the project. After the bridge was dropped into place, the engineer said all concerned were satisfied things went well. What they did not know was there was another problem, one with computer software that recorded how much the bridge rotated, tilted, and twisted during the move. 5 days later, as the bridge collapsed, that engineer noticed the sensors were reading 0. We asked professional engineer Al Brizuela what that means.
When he realizes those sensors are reading 0, is he seeing something wrong?
Yes, he is.
The insurance investigation says the engineer believes when the computer was turned back on after a break, the software did not automatically pull the offset file as it should have.
He knows there's something wrong with the program.
Did it corrupt the feedback engineers were getting during the move, or only data needed for his final report? No one can explain just yet, but Brizuela says, worst case scenario?
You have very bad data. The rotations could have been greater than what they measured.
Again, no one involved in the project will answer our questions, relying on the same NTSB order that keeps the public from seeing documents that might explain some of these issues. But you can go to NBC6.com and see for yourself a timeline of much of what we do know, including the original FIU bid solicitation from June 2014. In it, the university wrote, "If we get the bridge right, everything else can fall into place. If we get the bridge wrong, nothing else will matter." Reporting in the studio, Tony Pipitone, NBC 6 News.
What's going on? What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Newly released body cam video here shows an officer's perspective of the arrest of confessed Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooter Nicholas Cruz. The first words Cruz utters to police is about demons and that he's hearing voices. As the video continues, he appears confused about where he's at and what's happened. The video is the latest release from prosecutors as they prepare the murder case against Cruz.
Well, a massacre at 2 mosques in New Zealand, gunfire erupting during Friday prayers, killing 49 people and injuring dozens more. Here's what we know right now. One man has been charged with murder, but others are in police custody. The accused killer streaming the attacks live on social media and posting an apparent manifesto online laying out white supremacist views. Now, President Trump tweeting out his support for the people of New Zealand. Meanwhile, New Zealand's prime minister is vowing to change the country's gun laws, and mosques around the world are stepping up their security. NBC6 reporter Natalia Ortiz is live at the mosque in Miami Gardens with how the Muslim community is reacting to all of this tonight. Natalia.
Trina, I'll tell you that there are over 40 Islamic centers and schools in the Tri-County area, in other words, here in South Florida, many of whom are feeling concerned about their safety, and they're now taking action. Mosque leaders in South Florida have requested additional security at their places of worship after the massacre that took the life of 49 people in New Zealand yesterday. National leaders have reacted via Twitter. President Trump tweeting in part, just spoke with Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, regarding the horrific events that have taken place over the past 24 hours. I informed the Prime Minister that we stand in solidarity with New Zealand. But these Muslim leaders in South Florida are not satisfied with that response.
For him not to even mention Muslims in his tweet adds insult to injury.
I feel so sad about all kind of those massacres, killing people. It doesn't matter Muslim, any other religion. So because we are human, we came from the same. We came from Adam and Eve. So like you are killing your brother. So
this Muslim woman concerned for her children, whom she has to explain this horror to.
The first victim's last words was "Assalamu alaikum," which means peace be upon you, and that's what our faith has taught us. And so we'll carry that, and we'll use that to teach them more about their faith so they can teach those around them.
An interfaith prayer service will take place this Sunday at 3 p.m. right here at the Islamic Center of Miami Gardens. Live in Miami Gardens, Natalia Ortiz, NBC6 News.
Natalia, thank you. Accused male bomber Cesar Sayoc Jr. to plead guilty at an upcoming hearing. The 56-year-old is accused of sending homemade pipe bombs to opponents of President Trump, including former President Obama, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, and CNN. None of the devices he mailed around the country exploded. He was indicted on 30 counts last November in a Manhattan federal court. His next hearing is March 21st. If convicted, he could face life in prison. All right, well, some consumers say that they didn't get what they paid for.
After the break, NBC6 Responds explains why they feel let down by a movie subscription service.
I'm Ariadra at Fort Lauderdale High School, and this kid over here, he's got swag.
Yeah, I got swag.
Yeah, he got worldwide swag.
Wow, the student government says he's got worldwide swag. What's the story there? We're going to show you coming up in Students Working at Greatness. Stay tuned for Swag on 6.
All right, Ari, for many today, a mostly cloudy day, even a few showers across the area. Into the evening, temperatures on the warm side, but we'll keep it dry. But that may not be the case here as we get into your upcoming weekend. Rain showers making a return to the forecast. We'll talk about that coming up next.